ChatGPT versus DeepSeek AI Development Challenge. Today, we're gonna see which is best. To accurately test this, I'm gonna give each AI tool a chance at the same 3 prompts. For each prompt, the tool will receive a score of 1 to 10 based on 2 criteria. Does it do what I ask, and does it provide a solid foundation for a maximum score of 30 points each? Let's go ahead and start off with ChatGPT. I'm gonna go ahead and paste my prompt in. And if you guys wanna read through these prompts more in depth, they will be down below in the description. So first we're gonna say create a responsive homepage using HTML and CSS for an e-commerce website. Use a dark red, blue, and white color scheme. Provide your best. All right, so everything's rendered up, and what I'm gonna do is go ahead and copy all of this, and we're gonna go ahead and move into VS Code. And I already have a basic environment set up. If you guys need help getting started with VS Code, I'll link to a video up top and down below. But all I'm gonna do here for now is create an index.html page and simply paste in my AI code here, and then open up my live server and we'll take a look at this. So I'm gonna start off with my first criteria here. Does it do what I asked? Yes, it kind of did what I asked, but it didn't provide a color scheme and it didn't provide any CSS. So I'm gonna go back over to ChatGPT, and maybe it put the CSS down below at the bottom, and it says, next you'll need to create a CSS file to style your requested. Let me know if you need the CSS file as well. So for now, we're gonna stick with this one prompt, and it did not give us the CSS styling when I clearly asked it to give us a color scheme, which would mean that yes, we would need it to generate the CSS without having to enter another prompt in. So for the first criteria, does it do what I ask? I'm gonna have to give it a 4 points out of 5. And for does it provide a solid foundation, I'm gonna have to give it a 3 out of 5 because it provides a great HTML starting point that we can build on. But again, it doesn't give us any styling at all. Next, we're gonna move on to DeepSeek here, and we're gonna enter this prompt into DeepSeek. And while this renders, I want to be honest with you guys. I tried to film this video yesterday evening at around 6 or 7 o'clock at night, and DeepSeek was just not working at all. I basically was entering a prompt and it would just say the server's not working, please try again. So what I'm doing now is I got up really early. It's about 6:30 a.m. in the morning and it is working, but I can't promise you guys that DeepSeek is gonna work when you need it to work. So hopefully something they can improve upon going into the future, but we'll just have to see how it plays out. So here we go, we get all the HTML code from DeepSeek, and as you guys can see here, something ChatGPT failed to do pretty badly was provide us a CSS file. But here with DeepSeek, we are getting the CSS file, which is great to see. So while that's generating the CSS, I'm gonna copy all this HTML and go ahead and paste it into my code editor. And this is gonna be a separate one that I created for DeepSeek here. So now we have our HTML file entered, and I'm just gonna go ahead and create another file for my style sheet, since it's just linking right here like this directly to a styles.css file. And over here in DeepSeek, you guys are gonna see that we have all this styling, which provides us a much better starting point than a ChatGPT did. So now I'll just go ahead and paste this in. And at this point, I'm gonna open my live server for this DeepSeek code. Now in the live server, you guys can see that we have an entire HTML and CSS website template ready to go that we created in seconds using DeepSeek. And you guys will notice that it is using our color scheme of dark red, blue, and white. So that's great to see. So does it do what I asked? DeepSeek's gonna have to get 5 out of 5 points here. As for does it provide a solid foundation? Again, it's gonna have to receive a score of 5 out of 5 because it provides a beautiful and easy to read HTML file here, and the same thing with the styles.css. Now we're gonna get a little bit more complex, and we're gonna ask ChatGPT if it can create a React app. So I'll go ahead and paste in the prompt, create front-end to-do app with React.js. Use a blue and white color scheme and be sure to include professional styling. So I would assume that this is asking for the CSS file. Users should be able to add and delete individual tasks. We'll go ahead and submit this to ChatGPT, and while this does its thing, I already set up a React environment using Vite for both ChatGPT and DeepSeek. If you guys want to learn how to create a React app from scratch, I'll link to a video up top and down below where I show you how. All right, so it generated all of our code here, and it looks like it's only using one component. So what I'm going to do is navigate to VS Code where I created my React environment and simply paste this in and see if it works. If I have to download any dependencies or anything, I will let you guys know, and then I will get back and show you what it looks like. So over here in VS Code, I'm simply going to go into my app.jsx and remove all of this stuff and just paste it in like so. And then in my app.css, I'm going to get rid of all of this, and my index.css, I'm going to get rid of all of that. So what it didn't do again is it didn't give us any styling here. Or no, it actually did. So it did provide styling, but it looks like it's using some kind of CSS framework here. I'm not really sure where that's coming from. If you guys see it, let me know. I might just be missing it here. But what I'm gonna do is navigate back to VS Code now, open a terminal, and I'm gonna start up my live server here using npm run dev like so. And then once this kicks on, we'll go ahead and take a look at it. So we're gonna look at this in our live server, and you guys are gonna see that it's not working. It's pushing an error. All right, so something ChatGPT didn't tell us to do was to actually import Tailwind CSS or install it via the CLI. But just to save some time, I went ahead and brought in the CDN from tailwindcss.com, but obviously it should kind of walk you through this process if that's something you need to be able to style it. So over here in my index.html, I went ahead and imported the CLI just like so. And then if we go back to our live server now, it's successfully styling the React app here. So I'm gonna say workout, for example, and go ahead and add that to my list. And you guys can see that it actually looks pretty good, and it is dynamic where you can use it. So, but I'm not too happy with this because ChatGPT didn't walk us through the process of getting Tailwind CSS set up, and it didn't walk us through the process of installing any third-party dependencies that we might need for this React app. So it did give us something good, but it didn't do what we asked. Did it do what I asked? I'm gonna have to give it a 2 out of 5 because it did create the React app, but it kind of didn't walk us through any of the process. It didn't provide the styling without us having to go figure out and kind of dig for a CDN. And does it provide a solid foundation? I'm gonna have to give it a 3 out of 5 because it does give us all the code to successfully create the to-do app, but it doesn't walk us through any of the process, and it doesn't give us a good understanding of what's going on and what we need to do. All right, now we're gonna give DeepSeek a try. We're going to enter this same prompt in and see if it can do any better than ChatGPT. And for ChatGPT, for the second prompt, it only receives a score of 5 out of 10. So here you guys can see it's walking us through some of the process to getting this up and running. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy all of this, and then I'm gonna move into the development environment that I created in VS Code here. Simply go into the app.jsx, paste this in, and then back here it's actually giving us custom CSS styling. So we're going to go back here and paste this into our app.css. And then for our index.css, we're going to go ahead and remove all of this styling for now. And then we're going to go back one more time and see if it gave us anything else. No, that's going to be everything. And you guys can see here that it kind of walks us through the process a lot better than ChatGPT did. So back here in VS Code, what I'm going to do now is go ahead and boot up my live server using npm run dev, and we're going to see how this looks and compares to ChatGPT. So here you guys go. Right off the bat, everything worked correctly without me having to go out and dig and find CDNs and ask extra prompts and extra questions to DeepSeek. Now, the moment of truth is, does this actually work? So I'm going to enter workout and add that task, and it does add perfectly. I'm going to click delete and it removes. So you guys can see that this took me seconds versus ChatGPT. It took me probably 5 to 10 minutes to actually get something that I wanted in my live server environment. So for this prompt, for does it do what I asked, DeepSeek is going to get 5 out of 5 points because it did exactly what I asked it to do. And does it offer a solid foundation? It again is going to get 5 out of 5 points because it adds a awesome foundation that we can build upon if we want to. And it did a much better job of kind of walking us through the process and what was going on with the code, which ChatGPT didn't do at all. Now let's go ahead and move on to our third and final prompt and see if ChatGPT can catch up or if DeepSeek is gonna prevail. And we're gonna get pretty advanced on this one. I'm gonna close out of this and I'm gonna open a new chat here in ChatGPT just so we don't confuse it too much. And I'm gonna say create one-page PHP web app for an e-commerce store. Be sure to create a responsive navbar, welcome section, and featured products section. Create form where users can enter their name to register for a giveaway. Store all entries in a file called giveaway.txt. And I'm gonna go ahead and submit this. And while this is doing its thing, I already set up a PHP environment using WAMP server. So if you guys need help learning how to do that on your own, again, I'll link to a video up top and down below where I show you how to get WAMP servers started and how to create a PHP website from scratch. All right, so we have our code generated by ChatGPT, and you guys can see it's using some PHP code up here at the top. And it's linking to Bootstrap and styling everything using Bootstrap, which is kind of refreshing because it's actually giving us some styling here this time. Now we're gonna navigate back to VS Code, and you guys can see I created a PHP environment already, and what I'm gonna do is create an index.php file, go ahead and paste in my code, save this, and then I'll go ahead and boot up WAMP server and see how this looks. Moment of truth here, guys. We have it open in our live server, and ChatGPT so far is doing a much better job. You guys can see it did exactly what we asked, but now I want to see if this is responsive. So I'm going to go ahead and shrink this down. You guys can see it is completely responsive, and it's doing all of that with Bootstrap CSS. So down here at the bottom, it did create our form, and what I'm going to do is go ahead and enter Kalman Web and then enter giveaway and see if that works. So thank you for entering the giveaway, Kalman Web, and it doesn't look like it's giving us a spot on the client side to get to that text file. But what we're going to do is navigate back to VS Code and see if it did create the giveaway.txt file, and it did enter what I put in that input field right here. So for does it do what I ask, I'm going to give it 5 out of 5 points because it does exactly what I asked. Everything's responsive, it handles user inputs and uploads them to the text file. And does it offer a solid foundation? 5 out of 5. Again, it offers a perfect foundation that we can easily build upon and easily edit. So for the PHP prompt, ChatGPT is going to get 10 out of 10 points. So let's move on and try out DeepSeek now. I don't know if ChatGPT is going to be able to catch up even with that high score that it got for the PHP prompt. DeepSeek would really kind of have to mess up at this point, but let's see, it might happen. All right, here we go. It's developing what we want here. So right off the bat, I'm not super happy that it's adding the styling here in a style element directly in the HTML page, but I guess it's not that bad because we could easily move that into a style sheet later on without too much work. All right, it's done generating. It took a little while on this one, but we're gonna go ahead and navigate into VS Code, into our PHP environment, and create a index.php file here. And then we're simply going to paste in this code like so. And then back in our WAMP server, we're going to go back to localhost and boot up our DeepSeek PHP. And right off the bat, you guys can see this does a really good job. It looks nice and clean. We're going to see if this is responsive. So we're kind of going to shrink this down. And I guess technically it is responsive, but not really in the way that we wanted. If you guys remember from ChatGPT, it used Bootstrap to create a hamburger menu for our navbar when we shrunk down. But everything else is looking good and pretty responsive how you would want it. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and enter Kalman Web again here, and then go ahead and submit this and see if I enter into it. So it says, thank you, Kalman Web, your entry has been recorded. We'll navigate back over here, and you guys can see that it is successfully creating that giveaway.txt file and adding our name as an entry here. And looking back at this code, something that DeepSeek decided to do, which I personally don't like, is it provided us with a bunch of custom CSS styling. We didn't necessarily ask it to provide us with Bootstrap or custom CSS styling here, but you guys would think it would try to use some type of framework to eliminate this long list of custom styling. So for the first criteria, does it do what I asked? I'm gonna have to give it 5 out of 5 because it did do exactly what I asked. It created a responsive website, even though I don't think the responsiveness of the navbar is great, and it creates all of the sections as well as the form that we asked for here. But for the second criteria, does it provide a solid foundation? I'm gonna have to give it a 3 out of 5, and my reasoning here is gonna be that it kind of adds a lot of extra work for us because it gives us all this custom styling. So one, we'd either have to take all of this and put it in our own style sheet, or we'd have to go back through this and try and use something like Bootstrap. So for the final score, ChatGPT received 22 out of 30 points and DeepSeek received 28 out of 30 points. So even though ChatGPT did its best and got a 10 out of 10 on the final prompt, the first two prompts with HTML and React, ChatGPT did not perform that well, but DeepSeek really did a great job. Let me know if you guys disagree with the final scores or the way I graded both AI tools in this video, and I will respond to you guys down in the comments. I hope this video was fun and kind of gave you guys a good idea on which tool you guys should use for your development needs. Thanks for watching.